Hey, what's up, everybody? Mark Ellert here. Thanks for tuning in today. For those of you who know me, today's debate is what was harder after my brain injury, rehabilitating myself mentally and emotionally, or rehabilitating myself physically. And if you don't know my background, if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm somebody at the age of 19 on September 12th, 2004. I survived an attempted suicide. Although I survived, my attempt resulted in a traumatic brain injury as well as total blindness for the rest of my life. So going from 20/20 vision to total blindness and having a brain injury, there was some rehabilitation that was needed. And I do have to say, mentally and emotionally was harder than the physical rehabilitation. And there's some circumstances, there's X factors to that. I mean, some of you know, I'm already a suicide survivor. My brain injury happened because of an attempted suicide. So my mental health was already clearly struggling. I was already having issues with my mental health. So now on top of my post-traumatic stress and everything, that really didn't make it any easier. Post-traumatic stress is a very hard thing. You feel detached from yourself. That's something that came along now with my injury. And a lot of the issue too was denial. When I first lost my vision, I was in denial. I did not want to accept the changes that I had to go through. I was just stuck in my ways. I wanted to do everything the same way that I used to. I got out of the hospital and just went back about life. That wasn't working for me so much. I tried to do everything the same way I did as a sighted person. The success rate was not very high. I was messing up quite a bit and I wasn't feeling happy about it. So there was some disappointment because I kept trying to do everything the same way and didn't want to learn new things. And when I wasn't successful, I was like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? I've been doing this for 19 years. And I just couldn't figure out the small things that I wasn't doing right. But it's again, I was stubborn. I was stuck in my ways. I didn't want to accept the changes I had to deal with. I mean, at this point, I was 19 years old when I lost my vision. I was already just set in my ways. I had my lifestyle. I had the way I like to do things. So at age 19, having to completely change like that, I wasn't up for it. I was opposed to the idea. I was objecting hardcore. So when I was trying stuff and failing, I was feeling helpless, like my hands were tied and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. So that was a lot of the difficulty. Because plus there was also the fact that, there was some guilt and some regret. Afterwards, I realized suicide is not what I wanted. This is not what I was trying to do. So now I have to deal with the circumstances and repercussions. There's some guilt and some regret attached to that. I blame myself a lot, and there's a lot of beating myself up. I definitely harbor some resentment for my choices. But I'm just explaining my mental and emotional. I'm working through it and getting through some things, everybody. I want you to know that. And yeah, also, a lot of what was difficult is I already had insecurities. I had insecurities and didn't know how to communicate things to the world. So now after my brain injury, my insecurities are even more because I have brain damage. It takes me longer to process information and I can't see. I lost my vision. So it affected my insecurities quite a bit, as well as the fact that all of my circles of friends completely changed. Half my friends didn't know how to look at me or talk at me anymore. Half of them didn't want to see me struggling like that. I was in the hospital for a long time. So my whole circle of friends changed and I had to like completely start over, meet new people and do stuff. So that was difficult on my mental health as well. The insecurities and all of that stuff. Because even after my brain injury, I have abandonment and rejection issues, and my family hasn't been too involved in my life post my brain injury. So that also resurrects some abandonment and rejection issues. But they're things that I'm able to get through because I have learned how to be able to love myself and be able to take care of myself through self-preservation. But that's why the mental and emotional, the toll of it was hardcore. It took a lot on me to get over my choices, to be able to rebuild my life and everything. And it was harder mentally and emotionally because physically, basically all I had to do is I first of all had to accept that I needed help. It was like when I kept trying to do things the same way and I kept failing, I had to accept I needed help. I needed to get over my stubbornness. I needed to be able to just uh, get over things and be able to just admit to myself I needed help. I needed to get over myself and just learn how to deal with some things. So that also mentally and emotionally took some time to actually go through the acceptance like, wow, I'm blind, I have a brain injury, I have to do things differently. Coming to grips with it was actually harder than doing it. And so once I actually accepted and came to the grips I needed to do things differently, I worked with professionals. That was the way to do it. I tapped into some great resources. There's the Lake County Center for Independent Living that gave me a few advocates that helped me with lots of great information and resources. They helped me learn how to do new things. And with Department of Rehabilitation, I opened a case with Department of Rehabilitation that assigned me a caseworker to specifically help me set goals and know what I want to do and be able to have my independence. And Department of Rehabilitation gave me a Bureau of Blind Services caseworker. So I had lots of professionals, and that's why it was easy for me physically. I was working with professionals. These are people who know what they're doing and know how to help teach people. It wasn't me just trying to just figure it out on my own, because when things I was trying that wasn't working and I tried a different way, I couldn't figure it out. I was having a hard time investigating and figuring out ways to do things. It felt so foreign to me. Losing my vision was just like, what is this? I really just didn't know how to approach it. So it was nice to have professionals give me really good insight and information to be able to just help me have the tools and resources I needed to help me be able to do everything. See, I just basically, I wanted it at that point. At that point, I wanted it, so I was able to do it. I worked with some professionals in the right environment. They were able to supervise and watch what I was doing. I was able to trust them, and they were able to correct anything I was doing wrong. And it really just be able to work out for me. It was able to just be so high functioning and independent. That's why the physical aspect was actually easier. Some of you know right now where I'm at, this is my apartment. I've been living here for a little over 8 years now. It's my own 2-bedroom apartment. I pay my own rent. I pay all my own bills and do everything by myself. Very high functioning and independent. The physical aspect was not as hard because it's something I know I needed. I know I needed to learn how to operate and function a whole new way. So that's something I knew I needed to do. I was able to bring myself to it. Mentally and emotionally, coming back from what happened was really, really hard, especially the physical aspect. When you learn how to do something you know you need, it's easy to keep doing it. It's like riding a bicycle. It's something you know. It's muscle memory. It's what it is. After doing it for a few years, it's basically every day when I wake up, it's basically who I am. I accepted I'm someone with vision loss. That's how I operate and function. The physical aspect was easy. I basically forgot how I functioned 19 years ago when I had my vision. I grew into myself and became myself as a blind individual with the physical aspect. My mental health, I mean, I was able to get over it and deal with some things, but the mental and emotional was more difficult. I still go to therapy. I still medicate myself for my post traumatic stress disorder. I still have things come up every now and then. The physical was easier because mental, you can have days. I mean, there's days when I'm just not sleeping well. There's days when my anxiety is high. The mental isn't going to be a constant. It can change. There can be X factors in your life. There's things going on that are unrelated. There's things that are unrelated to my vision loss and my brain injury that can cause my anxiety and cause my insomnia. And because it's mental and emotional, to me, I tie it all to my post-traumatic stress. It's easy for me to just lump it together like that. So that's why the mental and emotional is much more difficult. On a daily, I remember things I don't necessarily want to. I can have mental and emotional reactions to the way I felt that day. I can have some post traumatic stress and some dreams that I don't like. Stuff comes up mentally and emotionally, but everybody, I've been able to accept it and I'm actually able to work on it. Some of you know I'm someone, I go to therapy. I go to my psychiatrist and medicate myself. I promote mental health. It's important. Anybody struggling with their mental health, I want you to know I understand the struggle, but you can be able to manage and treat it. You can be able to help yourself. It's difficult, but trust me, I believe in you. You can do it because everyone, the physical, after losing my vision, it wasn't as difficult as the mental and emotional. So, everyone, I take care of myself. You can take care of yourself. If you're dealing with some physical changes, learn how to admit it, accept its physical changes, and you can get through it when you're able to push yourself and know that you want it, everyone. If I can do it, you can do it, everyone. Everyone, until next time, keep it sexy, making choices. I'll catch you on the flip side.